How's everybody doing this morning? It's a little unusual to do this talk in the morning. Hopefully, usually the sun's in my eyes, so this is going to be a little bit different. But this is the third year that I've had the honor to do this talk, and I am always glad to come back and do it. As a survivor, I have a little different perspective than a lot of people, but in most circumstances, but in this crowd, we can share an awful lot. How many people remember the very first talk that I gave here 3 years ago? Oh, darn, I was going to do it again. Okay, well, I'll have to improvise just a little. What's wrong, Roy? No, don't do that one again? Okay, that's good. So last night was the Survivor Dinner at Calvary Chapel. Thank you all for putting that on. I know that was kind of a last-minute deal, but it was terrific. Thank you so much for that. So it's time for my annual update. So 4 weeks ago, I went in for my 3.5-year checkup, and everything was clear. And so I'm not telling any of you guys anything different than, no matter how well you are doing and how good you feel, when you go back for that checkup and you're sitting there in that doctor's office and they're reviewing your scans and the doctor's looking at your MRI and they've got their finger on the mouse and they're looking at it and they click up one screen and they click down a screen and then they go back to the first screen and then they go, and they click down and then they go, I can tell you, no matter how good you feel and how confident you are, that a little bit of doubt begins to creep in. And I know it's probably only a couple of minutes and you do want your doctor to be thorough, but you would like them to hurry up just a little bit. And then they turn and they go, oh no, everything's good. Everything looks fine. And then you can begin to celebrate. And that's what we're here to do today, is to celebrate. We're celebrate the life that we have. We're here to celebrate our survivors, and that it's not our turn to go to heaven. And speaking of heaven, I heard the other day that St. Peter had the Pope and a lawyer come to the pearly gates. And so as he's checking the records, sure enough, both of them qualified to get into heaven. So St. Peter puts them on the little golf cart, and he begins touring them around heaven, and he's showing them all the sights and the river of life and all those kind of things. And then he gets to the suburbs, and he goes a little further out, and they come to a cottage. And it's just a simple little cottage with a thatched roof, and the lawyer begins to get out. And St. Peter says, no, this isn't yours, this is for the Pope. And so he escorts the Pope in, and it's just a simple little 2-bedroom cottage. And St. Peter comes back, and they get in the little golf cart, and they go back into the city. And they're on the gold streets, and they're going into nicer and nicer neighborhoods and bigger mansions. And they get all the way to the top of this hill in a beautiful mansion that's overlooking the entire city. And the lawyer says, St. Peter, I don't mean to correct you, but I think you've made a mistake. I think this is probably the Pope's house, and I'm supposed to probably be in the other one. And St. Peter says, well, why would you say that? And he says, well, I'm a lawyer. And St. Peter says, well, that's exactly why this is your house. We've had lots of popes. You're the first lawyer we've ever had. So we're here to celebrate. We're here to celebrate the will to survive. And I have a little story to share if we have time. How many people want me to share a story? This is your chance to vote. Nobody wants me to share a story. Yes? Share the story? You don't want to share the story? So, this is a story about my mom and a little dog. I should have clarified, that's what the story's about. How many people want me to share a story about my mom and a little dog? Okay, in all fairness, how many people don't want me to share a story about my mom and a little dog? And we've got some people waffling, but they're looking at the people who voted yes, so I think I'll go ahead. So my mom is 78, she lives in a senior living facility, and she decided in March that she wanted a little dog. And so me and my brothers, we've been looking for a little dog for her, and it's been difficult to find because a lot of little dogs that are in rescues have had problems. They have skin problems or they have kidney problems. And with my dear friend MJ Saunders, she found the perfect little dog. But the problem is it's not in Pennsylvania, it's in Colorado. So she brings us this little dog to try, and she's just absolutely a treasure. But last Thursday, when we were out at the ranch in Folsom, she disappeared. Now you've got to understand, I have sent my mom numerous pictures and videos of her new dog. And so I searched frantically for this dog for hours. And hours turned into days. And days turned into a week. Now, you got to understand, out of my little ranch in Folsom, can you bring a little bit up here? Can you bring her up here? Okay, so this is a little bit. And a little bit, probably to a predator, looks like prey. And so when she disappeared out of the fenced yard, she'd never gotten out before, and she just totally disappeared. And I just knew, because it was only a few minutes, I just walked over to the barn and back, so I just knew a hawk had swooped down and taken her out of the yard. But I didn't give up. Well, I didn't give up for the first day, and the second day, and the third day, but then she was gone, and there was no finding her. Well, Thursday morning, I get a call from the rescue, because we'd left her tag on, that somebody had found her 5 miles away 8 days later. And so this little dog right here is a survivor. She represents what we're doing here today, and that's just the will to live and carry on and make each other's lives a little bit better. What is our purpose after surviving cancer? It's to move on, it's to go on, and it's to help those other people that are going to encounter what we've encountered. It's a matter of being significant. The definition of significance is doing something for somebody else without thinking about the return. When you go to work, you work, but you're expecting something in return from your employer. You're expecting a paycheck. But when we're talking about doing something significant, it's about giving without the expectation of return. And that's exactly what Liz and Mercy and the leadership team are all about. They're all about being significant. The great basketball coach, John Wooden, said, "Talent is God-given. Be humble. Praise is man-given. Be grateful. Pride is self-given. Be careful." And what he was talking about using the gifts that we have been given. And every one of us that is a survivor has been given a gift. And that gift is to carry on, is to be significant, is to celebrate our birthdays and those around us in a whole new way. And that is why we're here today. We're here to give back a little bit for the gift that we've been given. Oh, sorry, a little bit. Was it you? Okay. Debbie, you want to come get her? Debbie. But as survivors, we know right off the bat the definition of significance, because for the most part, we've had caregivers. And those caregivers were of significance to us. They went out of their way to take care of us. They went out of their way when things weren't looking very good, but they stuck by us through thick and thin. The Bible has a lot to say about being significant. If we turn to Matthew in chapter 25, at the end of that chapter, the Bible talks about the sheep and the goats. And there's a great gathering at the throne, and Jesus separates the sheep from the goats, right hand to left hand. And he tells the sheep, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Welcome into the kingdom." And they said, "Why, Lord?" And he said, "For when I was sick, you visited me. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was in prison and you visited me." Basically, you took care of my needs. And the sheep said, "When, Lord? When did we do this?" And the Lord says, "When you did this unto the least of mine, you have done it unto me." That is the definition of significance. Giving of yourself at a time when maybe it isn't necessarily convenient, maybe at a time when you're not necessarily thinking of somebody else, but that you go the extra mile. It doesn't take a lot to be significant, but it does take something. Maybe it's mowing your neighbor's yard. Maybe it's taking some invalid some cookies. Maybe it's baking some cookies and bringing them to my house if you're running out of ideas. I will tell you that I did smart off at the auxiliary meeting the other day and told them it was my birthday and my favorite cake was carrot cake. I ended up with 2 of them. So sometimes it pays to have the microphone. So as we are getting ready to do the Survivor's Lap, and as we're ready to go out and kick this day off, I did want the opportunity to let you visit with a couple other survivors and ask and talk to them about their journey and what they've done that is significant. So our first one is probably well known to most of you, and it's Mrs. Adelita Craig. Does it work? Okay. It's on. Hello. It's on. Shake. So Miss Adelita and I have known each other for a very, very long time. So I just want you to just visit with us a few minutes about the journey that you've been through. And then I want you to finish with why you're here and why this event is of significance to you. Okay?
I'm happy and very grateful to be here, a part of this beginning of Relay for Life. Like everyone else here, my life has been touched by cancer. My grandfather, my mom and dad.
Are we here? Are we good? No? Try that one.
Like everyone else here, my life has been touched by cancer. My grandfather, mom and dad, my sister, brother-in-law, 3 aunts, cousins, and many friends. I always tried to give comfort, love, support, prayer to everyone. 4 years ago, my life changed. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. As I walked into the cancer center, I realized that now I was not looking from the outside. I was a part of the multitude of cancer patients. I received and continue to receive comfort, love, prayers, and support from my family and many, many friends. It has been overwhelming. I also learned the true meaning of a word, Santa Fe. 1 year after my first diagnosis, I found another node. Now I am a 4th stage metastatic breast cancer that has spread to my bones. I have been on oral chemotherapy for 1 year. And by the grace of God and the prayers of many, I am doing okay. I have not had any major side effects, and I lived a full and productive life, or as productive I can be at 80. So I thank God and everyone for their support. My involvement in Relay started in 2010. The Luminaria program is very dear to my heart. Without research, a lot of us would not be here. So, the first year, I sold 46 luminarias. Each luminaria is but a drop in the bucket, but we must continue to have this research so that there will be many more lives. In 2010, I sold, as I mentioned, 46 luminarias. And now, with the support of 55 caring people who never tell me no, the last 3 years I have been able to sell 200 luminarias. A sincere, humble, and heartfelt thank you to all who support Relay for Life. In closing, I want to share what a cousin told his mother. He said, "Mom, I'm okay. God has his plan." He died at the age of 52. For me, just remember that every day is a gift from God. His will be done. Thank you.
So what do you add to that? First of all, I would say that Santa Fe is 2 words, not 1 word. And second of all, you're 80, so you need to quit slacking and selling luminarias and get after it. We love you, Adelita, and thank you so much. The next gentleman has been my friend for a very, very, very long time. And I asked him if he would be willing to come up here for the simple fact that I know what his act of significance was. He drove from Raton to Denver and sat in the room with my wife waiting while I had my cancer surgery. Little did we know that I'd be sitting with him and his family a year later when he went through his. Roy Pillmore, would you come on up? A little faster. Everybody's waiting on you. Roy, same thing. If you just tell us a little bit about your history and what surviving cancer has meant to you.
Just a brief summary of the history. In January of 2016, I got the word that I had throat cancer from an ENT in Santa Fe. Just those words were like getting kicked in the stomach. But I had the most incredible care team and support team that anybody could ever have. I went through radiation and chemotherapy for 3 months at UCH in Denver. And all my girls and my wife and my mom and my sister were absolutely the key to my healing. Going through cancer, my scenario, and at the same time that Eric basically did, has been an incredible friendship building event. And it's renewed my appreciation for life as a survivor. I'm coming up on a little over 2.5 years cancer free. And it's great to be here.
Thank you, Roy. I just want to say again, thank you for having me. Thank you for this opportunity. And it is truly a joy and a pleasure to be able to stand here for the 3rd year in a row and welcome you to Relay as survivors and as caregivers and just as supporters of this event. So I just want to say thank you again, and let's get on with the survivor lap. That's why we're here.